Ernie, I have been selling your product really hard for the last year. And quite honestly, I never ever say that it's free. What I always say is that it is included with your dues. So don't be a dope. Use what's out there.
Right.
So like I said, I've known about RPR for years and years. It is a phenomenal product. I've used it not even so much here, but I can remember using it in Florida when my mother-in-law's condo was for sale. She wanted to sell her condo. So I always travel with it on my phone and can do all sorts of interesting things. So Ernie, I'm going to turn this over to you. Again, to remind everybody that we are recording here today. We will post the recording on our website then. Ernie, you're up.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Good morning, everybody. Glad I could join you today. If you do have a question, you can just unmute yourself, or you can type it into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, either way, and then I will be happy to answer your questions. So let me share my screen with you, and then we will get started. All right, awesome. All right, I'm just going to turn my camera off so that you can just focus on my slides there. We're going to talk about RPR and tell you a little bit about it. As Deborah said, it is included in your NAR member dues. There's no additional costs, fees, or upgrades. It's all paid for as part of your dues. We put together a database of property information. We've got pretty much every property in the country on RPR. You'll see the type of data we have is tax assessment data, deed and mortgage recordings, foreclosure data, school information, FEMA flood maps, neighborhood and demographic data, consumer information, and we even have all that great MLS data, the active listings, as well as the off-market and sold data. So it's a great resource for you to use with your clients. There is no consumer access to RPR. It is strictly a realtor tool. So everything that you're going to see on RPR, the consumer does not have access to that. You can show them, your phone or your computer, or you can print reports for them to share the data. A couple of things you're going to see on the site is AVMs and RVMs. AVM stands for Automated Valuation Model. So think of something like a Zestimate. Sometimes those are good calculations. Sometimes they are not so good. Well, we've come up with our own valuation. We call it an RVM, or a Realtor Valuation Model. And the difference here is that we use public data as well as MLS data to calculate that value. So you're going to find it to be a much more accurate form of value than that AVM. We also will show you our confidence score on every RVM, so you'll know how good do we feel about that number. But always consider it a ballpark number. Don't think of it as a bullseye, because you need to make some adjustments based on the property and the market condition. All right, so let's go over to our website. The address there is on the screen, narrpr.com, and let's go on over there. All right, so here's the RPR website. Again, you can see it has the branding for MRED there. It may have branding for your brokerage, but again, you'll have that on your website and on the mobile app as well. Starting in the way over on the left-hand side, there's a little toggle there where you can go between residential and commercial. We're going to just stay on residential today. If you are looking for something like a fourplex or bigger, you're going to find that over on commercial. But like I say, we'll just stay on residential. Across the top of the screen, we have some different tabs. We have research, where you can kind of start your search. You can also look at the market trends, the neighborhood information, school information, even getting down to commercial. And then under marketing, you could do some prospecting for buyers or sellers. Here are all of our great RPR reports, and we'll look at those in a little bit. Under learning, this is where you will find out some great information about the tools within RPR. This will change depending on what page you're on in RPR, so it kind of updates as you move through the site. Under help, this is where you can contact us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you need any assistance, don't ever hesitate to reach out. Our call center is based in Omaha, and they're very knowledgeable and friendly folks, so do check that out. There's also a link here to our training resources, where you can find some printable guides. We have ebooks, videos, and as well as recordings and live webinars, so all kinds of great stuff. All right, so we're going to go right to the very right corner. You can see my little picture there. There's a little drop down, and this is where you can go to your profile. And this is where you can then update your photo, update your logo, all of your various contact information, email, phone number, website. And at the very bottom, there's a link here that says receive RPR updates and news. We do updates to RPR about once a month. And this way, you will receive an email saying, hey, we just added this new feature. We just added this new functionality. You'll always get those updates to know what's the latest and greatest on RPR. On the far right side is our mobile app, and we'll take a look at that a little bit later. Scrolling back up to the top, there's a settings button where you can change how things are displayed on RPR as far as new listings and recently sold properties. So you can go ahead and update that however you would like. Going back to the profile, I just want to show you a couple of things that you will not, I can't show you because I'm an RPR employee and my profile looks a little bit different than yours. But what I wanted to show you is in the MLS or CIE info section, at the very bottom, there's a link that says listing data access. You can view active listings and off-market data. So if you click that link, it's going to take you to a page that looks something like this, where you can see the different MLSs around the country and the data that they're providing. So in this case, we're looking at Arizona, and we can see that in central Arizona, you're going to see their on-market and their off-market data, the same with the Sedona area. And then southern Arizona, which is the Tucson area, you'll see their on-market data as well. Now, you don't see the Phoenix area in here. Their data is only viewable by their subscribers. But in that area, you would still see all of that great public record data that we do collect. So again, you can find data for the entire country. And in many areas, you will also see that great MLS data. So do check that out. Another thing that you can see on your profile is kind of towards the bottom is a section called Assistant Users. This is where you can create an account in RPR for an assistant. Just click on the Create New Assistant User Account, and then you can just add their email, their name, their phone number. If they have an ID for the MLS, you can put that in as well, but you don't have to. And what's nice about this is when those assistants log into RPR, they are assisting you. So if they print a report, it's going to be branded for you. If they research a property, it's as if you're doing that research. So it's a really nice resource that you can use to help you, to assist you in your business. So again, do check that out on your profile. All right, so back to the home page. And again, if you do have a question at any time, please unmute yourself and go ahead and interrupt. Otherwise, you can type it into the Q&A box there at the bottom of the screen.
I have a question.
Yes, I'm happy to help.
Okay, I'm a commercial real estate broker, and I am not connected with MLS. So when it goes down to the place where it says to put in, you know, for the state, and then they ask for your MLS code.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't get anything from that, right?
Well, do you belong to a commercial MLS?
There is not really a commercial MLS other than CoStar.
Yeah,
Or
and
LoopNet.
CoStar is not part of, we don't have their data in RPR. We do have Crexi and Brevitas and a number of others. Yeah, if you don't belong to one, you don't have to put one in there. It just depends, you know, if you belong to MRED, they're going to have some commercial data. And you would see that. So it just, yeah, any way you can, if you have an MLS that you belong to or a CIE, you can go ahead and add that.
Okay, so data will not come up if I don't put a number in there. Am I correct?
No, I mean, you'll see all those MLSs like I showed you from Arizona, you know, so there are some public record or some commercial MLSs, like I mentioned, Crexi and Brevitas, that do share their listing data with all realtors. So you will see that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so we're back on the RPR homepage. We're on residential, and we're just going to put in a zip code here to kind of get started in our search. So we're going to put in for Barrington. I'm going to click on that. And you can see that there are too many results because we're looking at public record data and we're looking at single family homes, and I clicked on something wrong there. I'm sorry about that. So again, public record data, and we want single family homes. And now we will do our search. And again, so there's too many results. So there's more than 5,000 properties in that zip code, which is not surprising. It's a big area. So we can go ahead and we can streamline that search by using our more filters here in the upper right. Just going to click on that. And we can see currently there are more than 5,000 properties based on our search criteria. Now I'm going to show you how we can refine our search using this data, and maybe we can even use it for farming or prospecting. So let's say we want to come down here to the current distressed status, and I'm just going to click these 3 distressed statuses, and we can see that within that zip code, there's 86 properties that are in some state of distress. So if we wanted to market to those folks, we can just go ahead, click update and search, and then we can go ahead and send out mailing labels to those folks. And I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. So again, very easy to refine your search for these areas or these folks that you want to market to. Another thing we can do is we can refine our search based on a price range. So we're going to put in 500,000 to 600,000, and we can see that there's about 2,500 properties in that price range group. That's a pretty big number. We still wouldn't want to market to that many folks. But if we come down here, we say, let's look at the absentee owners. So in other words, folks that are renting properties in that price range, we can see there's 202 of those. So again, that would be a nice manageable group that we could then prospect to and market to. Another thing we can look at down here in the data is the time of ownership. So if we say we want to market to properties that have been owned for 20 years or more, we can go ahead and do that. And we can see there's 500 of those properties within that zip code. So again, very easy to use the data in RPR for your marketing. All right, let's uncheck that. We'll go back to let's turn off our price range. And we got our 5,000 properties, and we're going to go back to our search page. And we're going to use another tool to refine our search, and that's going to be these geographical boundaries. And I'm just going to click on show geographies, and you can see it starts out with really big geographical areas, counties, townships, cities, zip codes, and it goes way down to the small school, elementary schools down here at the bottom. We're going to click on this one called micro neighborhoods, and this is where you can see some, I'll say like subdivisions that you can market to. So let's just pick one here on the map, and we're going to hit search. And we can see, well, that area only has 26 properties. So that's not really a very good one. Let's do that again. And let's do micro neighborhoods. And let's pick one down here. Let's try that. That's even worse. Well, anyway, you get the idea. So let's go up here and we'll look at our map. So there's 9 properties, and let's just say we wanted to market to those folks. We can come up here and we can choose the mailing labels, and we can send out a mailing to those folks in that little subdivision. Now we can download a CSV file of those contacts. That would be like an Excel type file. We can then import that into some sort of a contact management program, or we can download one of 3 different Avery label layouts. And then that'll come down as a PDF, and then we can print that. Below that, we can customize our label, sending it to either the property address or the tax billing address. We can address it to the owner's name. So in other words, here we have James Hulshoff, or we can set it to the owner name and or current resident, or we can just go to current resident, however we want to send that out. And then down below here, we have some different filters that we can use. If we want to send it to just the absentee owners, well, we can see there aren't any. These are all owner-occupied properties. But in some bigger areas, we might, find a few of those. So again, we can really customize these labels any way we want. Within RPR, you have 2,000 labels per month that you can use for your prospecting. Come June 1st, next week, that will be reset to 2,000. So between now and then, you can use however many labels you have left. And then on June 1st, it'll be reset to 2,000. So again, this is all included in RPR. There's no upgrades, no fees. You just have access to this great resource. So do check out the mailing label feature. Again, anytime you do a search, you can come to mailing labels and then you have that option. So be sure you check that out. All right, so let's go back to the home page. And then we're going to look at a property here that I found in Northbrook. So this is a property that is not listed for sale. It's shown as part of the public records. So this might be a property that we're going to go out and do a listing presentation at. We can see we start out here. We can look at, we're on the property information tab. We can see the Google Street View. We can look at a satellite image of the property. We could look at historical photos. And let's keep going. Let's see, over here we can see the property sold back in February of 23 for $600,000. Here we have that updated RVM. That's that Realtor Valuation Model Estimated Value, $579,960. That was updated on May 9th. So that's updated monthly so that we have the current value. And over here on the right-hand side, we can see that RVM confidence score. So we have 5 out of 5 stars. So we feel pretty good about that number. I'm just going to hit view details, and that's going to tell us a little bit more about how that RVM was created. So scrolling down, we can see all the properties that were used in that creation of that RVM value. So here are some recently closed properties and then some off-market properties as well. Now, you can't change these properties. And just remember, this is not a CMA. It's an RVM, so it's a different kind of a calculation. But we do show you those properties so you can see the properties that were used. All right, scrolling down, we have the property information. We have the owner's names. Below that, we have, again, the closed price, the RVM. We also have a CMA tool and a refined value tool in RPR. We'll look at those in a moment. And then there's also the seller's net sheet that you can fill out. Over here on the right-hand side, excuse me, we have an interactive map. Just going to click on that. And let me zoom out a little bit. So here we can see all the homes in the neighborhood. We can see here's a blue square. That is a recently closed property. We have a red square. That is a distressed property. Let's see. Here's a blue circle. That is an active listing, but it is under contract. And then you can see all of these gray homes in the area. Those are just the homes in the neighborhood. They're not for sale, but that price that you see, that's that RVM estimated value. And so we can see, even before we go out here, is this home one of the more expensive ones, one of the least expensive ones? Just kind of gives a little bit of an overview of the property. Now we can also look at a satellite view. So if we want to really look at the property, we can do that. We can even rotate it around. We can zoom in. We can also look at, let's go back to the road. We have these overlays called data layers. So if we wanted to see the FEMA flood maps for this area, we can see if there's any potential flooding around this property. We can also look at the 12-month change in values to see, have property values been going up in this area or down in this area? So again, all kinds of great information that you have access to when you're on this interactive map. All right, scrolling down a little bit further, here we have the property facts, which we're getting from the municipality. There's a Your Changes column where you can update any of this information that might be incorrect or missing. And that's always going to be here, so you always have that information. Now, what's nice about RPR is it's different than the MLS. So anything you put into RPR is only viewable by you. Whether you update this data, whether you add a photo, you're the only person that's going to see that information. So the more you use RPR, the more accurate it's going to be for you. Over here on the right-hand side, we have some additional resources. We have a tool called Valuate. We have an entire RPR class just on this tool. It's such a powerful resource. It's a great tool to use when you're working with a buyer. You can basically run the numbers. Does it make sense to purchase this property? Are they paying cash? Are they financing it? Are there multiple investors? Are they purchasing the property to live in it, to use it as a rental? Are they going to flip it? You know, you can really run all these scenarios for your buyer and share those spreadsheets with them. We also have a climate check tool where you can look at the climate change risk rating for this individual property. Interior, exterior features, legal description, the schools that service this property, and we use a service called Niche, and they provide data for our schools all over the country. Here's the listing history for the property. Here's the public record data, so we can see the deed that was recorded back in February of 23. We see they took out a loan for $569,000. We can look at the historical ownership. We can also look at mortgage records, tax records, and again, we can scroll back through the historical data. Below that, the sales and financing activity chart, we can see the past activity over the past several years. And then the estimated home value and how that has changed year over year. So again, lots of great information here in RPR. We just added this little feature on the far right where you can quickly jump back to the top of the screen or to the bottom. Easy navigation. So do check that out. All right. So this is the property information tab. So all that information we saw was just on this one tab. And now let's go over to the My Updates tab. And this is where you can upload some notes. You can also upload photos. And let's go ahead and do that. So I just clicked upload photo. I can then go out to my computer. I can add the photo. I can check the box and say, let's use that as the cover for my report. And you can upload multiple photos. You can upload photos from your phone using the mobile app, all kinds of great resources. So do check that out. The next tab we're going to look at is called the Market Trends. And this is where you can look at what's the market doing in this area. So here we can see that there's 1.4 months of inventory, which means it's a very strong seller's market. 6 months would be a balanced market. We can see properties are selling just under the list price, 35 days on the market, and the median list price. So again, all kinds of great information there. Below that, we can look at the active listings. Here are the sold properties, the sold public record properties. So these would be private sales, and then the inventory information. So again, all kinds of great statistics that you can use when somebody says, hey, what's the market doing over in Northbrook? You've got it all right here. And each of these charts has a little share button. You can kind of see that right in the corner of that chart. If I click on it, I can then easily post that chart on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. If I hit more, I can download an image of that graph, or I can just copy it to my clipboard and then paste it. So again, very easy to use this data in your social media marketing. All right, so now we're going to go over to the Refined Value tab. And now we're going to look at that RVM estimated value that RPR came up with for this property, $579,960. And then on the left-hand side, we have some different tools that you can use to refine that value. So we're not doing a CMA, we're just refining the value of this particular property. So the first tool we have is adjusting the basic facts. So if any of this information is wrong or missing, we can add it under your changes, update the facts, and that will then start to refine that value. Below that is our home improvement calculator. And you can see we have a list of all different types of improvements that people make to their home. And you can see many of these have a mid-range and an upscale version of that improvement. So let's just say that these folks added a deck to the property, and we'll say they did it last June, and that they spent, let's see, about $15,000 on that deck. We're going to add that improvement, and we can see in today's dollars, that deck is worth about $9,000. So it's not the full 15 that they spent, but it is still a significant amount of value. Now you can add multiple improvements. You can also work with your seller who is saying, well, I'm going to be updating my bathroom or my kitchen or whatever it might be to get my home ready for sale. And you can show them how much of a return they might get for that improvement. And is that the best use of their money? So again, you've got this great home improvement calculator that you can use. Below that is needed improvement. So if you're walking through the property and you see some water damage or window that really needs to be replaced, you can put that in here, the estimated cost, and that will actually subtract from the value of the property. So if it's not addressed, it will be a subtraction. And then at the very bottom, we have these sliders where you can make an adjustment based on the market and property condition. So we can say the current market is still a little bit strong. We can move that slider. We'll say that the outside of the property is a little bit nicer than other ones we've looked at. And we can say, well, the home interior needs a little bit of refinement. So again, we can move that adjustment. And we can see then we come up here to our refined value and that we think it's really worth $595 rather than the $579 that RPR came up with for that property. So again, we didn't do a CMA. We really just looked at this particular property and the value based on these refinements. Really nice resource that you can take advantage of in RPR. All right, let's go over to the CMA tab. And this is where we can run. We have two different CMAs in RPR. The first one is called comparative analysis, build an estimate based on comps. And the second one is sales comparison analysis, a more detailed evaluation. We're just going to look at this first tool, and I'll kind of explain the differences as we go. All right, we're going to start with step number one, confirm the facts for the property. So if everything looks good here, we can go ahead and update and move on. Otherwise, we can make some adjustments here under the Your Changes column. All right, so we'll say this looks good. Let's go ahead on to step number two, where we search for some comps. All right, at the very top, we can add a known property. So if we know of a comp that would be a good one to add, we can do that. Otherwise, we can do our search. And again, we have our map over here on the right-hand side, subject property right in the center. We can zoom in or zoom out to expand or reduce our search area. Here we can refine our search based on property type, property status, and the solds can be anywhere from 1 week to 18 months. And then we have the different property characteristics. RPR kind of fills some of these in for you. Now, in some municipalities, they may not provide us with the beds or baths. And if you get a search result that says, well, there's no properties available, just come up back here and uncheck one of those boxes and see if that doesn't help. Now, just so we don't have too many properties, I'm going to use our price range feature here, just so that we can kind of limit our search results. All right, so let's go ahead and do our search. And we can see that there are 4 properties that have recently sold and 2 properties that are currently listed for sale that came up in our search results. And we can see those properties here on the map. The blue are the current listings, and then the gray would be recently sold properties. All right, so we can click on any of these properties. And if we wanted to use that as a comp, there's a little checkbox here. We say, yep, let's use that as a comp. Or we can come down here to our list, and we can then pick those properties right from there. So let's go ahead and we'll just grab this one, and then we'll grab another one down here. And you can see as we click on those properties, it kind of drops them into this shopping cart. So let's go ahead, we'll update our valuation, and then we're going to go on to step number 3, where we can make some adjustments to those comps. All right, so first off, if we wanted to, we could reorder the comps. If we would prefer, we can use the different listing records. If we think the property is, quote, more comparable, under those records rather than the ones that are up here, we can make that change. We can look at bigger pictures. And then as far as adjusting the value, it comes right to this slider. It says, how does this property compare to the subject? And then there's a slider from better to worse. And as I move that slider, it's adjusting the value of our subject property. And so the more we move it, the more of an adjustment it makes. So we're going to look at this property. We're going to say it's a little bit worse than our subject property. And this one is 2. And this one we'll say is a little bit worse as well. So again, we can make those adjustments. We don't have to know how much is a bedroom worth, how much is a bathroom worth, how much is a garage stall worth. We can just make that adjustment, again, using that slider. Now, the more advanced CMA tool we have in RPR does allow you to make those dollar adjustments. So it is more of a, I guess, like a traditional CMA where you're making those dollar adjustments, either adding or subtracting value to make the property more comparable. So this is, I would say, like an easy CMA. And if you wanted to, you could put some notes into here. Why did you make that adjustment? If everything looks good, we'll go ahead and update and move on to step number 4, where we can review the value. So here we can see with the adjustments we made, the value we came up with is 596, 538. We can hit edit. So if we want to round that off to 595 or 600, or we want to present it as a value range, we could do that as well. So again, you always have control over the value that you're presenting. We'll just hit cancel. We'll stick with that number, and then we'll move on to step number 5, where we'll create a seller's report. All right, so in RPR, we have all kinds of different great reports that you can use working with your customers. And I'll just tell you a little bit about each of these reports. The first one is called the property report. That's a report that you would use typically with a buyer. It's going to have information on this property. It's going to have information about the neighborhood and the schools. The seller's report is information about this property and about the real estate market in this area. So it's a great report working with sellers. We also have a one-page property flyer. We have a mini property report, which again is similar to the property report, but just a scaled down version. If you use the more advanced CMA tool, you can use the valuation workbook, which is a great report that kind of really showcases how is that property value determined. So if you have a seller who is kind of a hard nut to crack and they just won't listen, maybe the valuation workbook would be a great presentation for them. Here's the market activity report, which showcases what's happening in the real estate market in a particular geography. This is a great report that you can post on social media. You can use it to send out to your sphere of influence to say, hey, here's what's happening in the market in your area. So do check that out. There's also a neighborhood and a school report, which are great with buyers. They're also great for open houses, and it's just a wonderful resource you can take advantage of. All right, so we're going to look at the seller's report. We can see it says it's approximately 81 pages, which is an enormous report. So if you've run one of these reports, it can be kind of big. I'm going to show you how to streamline that report to make it much more manageable. We're just going to click on the little plus sign here, and then we can see all the different sections of the report available. Now at the very top, it says custom pages. This is where you can upload your own content into RPR to be included in the report. And you do that over here on the right-hand side where it says Manage Custom Pages. So let's click on that. It's going to take us to this page where we can then upload additional content into RPR. Now you can have up to 5 PDF files. Each PDF file has to be 10 meg or less. So let's go ahead and add another custom page. And let's choose this one, how to sell your house with a realtor. So I'm going to import that, and we can then choose to put that report or that page at the beginning or at the end of the report. If I want to view it, I can do that. Let's go ahead and just save. And now we can see that that has shown up here now at the beginning of the report. Now, if I don't want to use it for this particular seller, I can turn it off. Very easy to do. Right, below that are the different sections of the report that RPR provides. And you can see some of them have been unchecked. That's because the last time I ran this report, I chose not to include it. And RPR remembers that preference, so it won't be included unless I come back and recheck that box. Now, if there's something I'm not sure what it means, I can just put my mouse over that little circle, and it will show me what that information would look like if it's included in the report. Then I can say, oh, I don't really need that. I can turn it off. All right, scrolling down a little bit further, this is where you can really streamline the report, is right here, these little drop downs. So the first one is the photos, and you can say, let's include the main photo only, or 2 pages, or all. I would limit it to 2 pages or the main photo only. That'll, again, help to streamline the report. And then as far as the market activity section, I would limit that to 4 properties rather than 8. And then finally, include side-by-side comparisons and individual property pages in the market activity section. Here, I would only include the side-by-side comparison. Otherwise, you're going to have a detailed sheet on every active, every pending, every recent sale, every expired listing. It's just going to add a lot of extra pages to the report. So again, my suggestion, limit the photos, limit the properties, and only do the side-by-side comparison. And then the last thing I wanted to show you is this checkbox that says suppress estimated value for subject property. So in this case, we made some adjustments of value. That RVM value was not the same as the one we came up with. It was about $20,000 less. So I don't want to show that lesser value. If it was closer, I would show it to say, hey, even the computer came up with the same number, but in this case it didn't. So I'm just going to suppress that value. I don't even want to show it. And then scrolling down a little bit further, we can personalize the report for our seller. We can add a little message here. And then finally, we can download the report as a PDF, or we can send it directly from RPR, and it's going to come from your email address. Now, personally, I like to download the PDF because I can then review the report, make sure it has all the pages I want, or those pages I don't want, I can remove. And then I can attach it to an email and send it from my own email service. Then you have run the report, and all the reports that you run, those are going to be available here at the top of the page. They will be here for 30 days. And after that, they're going to drop off the system. So if it's a report that you want to save, just click the little down arrow and you can download the report. If it's a report you don't need any longer, you can delete it. Or if it's a report that you want to post on social media, you can do that. And as I mentioned, the market activity report would be a great report to use for social media. All right, over on the right-hand side, these are all the different elements that you can include on your cover page. And again, that's pulling from your profile. All right, so let's go over to the report that I generated. So again, it has the branding for MRED here at the top, or it might have your broker branding. We can see it's called the seller's report. And then here's that photo that I uploaded, along with my photo, my logo, my contact information. So the report is really personalized, excuse me, very nicely for myself. And we can see in the upper left, it's 25 pages. So it's not the 81 pages that it could have been if we'd have thrown everything in there. All right, so let's scroll through the report. Here we can see the refined value where we added the home improvements, and we also have the CMA value, and both of those are pretty similar, so I left them both in. Over here in this white section, that's where that RVM would have been displayed, but again, we turned that off because we wanted to present the number we came up with. Here we have the home facts for the property, the AARP livability index, property history, sales history, legal description, mortgage and deed recordings, sales and financing activity chart, price range history, all kinds of great stuff. And then here are the different charts and graphs. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so you can see. Each chart has a paragraph describing the chart. It gives the source of the data, so in this case, public record and listing data. And we can see it's updated on a monthly basis. So again, all of these charts and graphs have that great information about them. So you have all that included. And what's really nice is you can then go through this report and you can talk about those charts and graphs. It really makes you look like an expert on the area. And again, all this great information was very easy to generate. So here are the CMAs that we chose, a side-by-side comparison of those properties. Here's what's happening in the real estate market in this area. And again, here are some active listings, some pending offers, recently closed properties, distressed properties, and some expired listings. So just a really nice overview of what's happening in the real estate market. Then we have the recommended pricing strategy page, the seller's net sheet. Here's some information about the data within RPR. And then here's where I added my profile page and my testimonials. So again, a really nice report that I was able to add into RPR, and just a couple of mouse clicks. All right, so do we have any questions on what we've talked about so far? Anything I can answer for you? If you do have a question, just go ahead and unmute yourself, or you can type it into the Q&A section there at the bottom of the screen.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay, I just want to make sure because I'm not on the video.
Yes.
So this is Shanice Jones. So I wanted to know, is there any way you can use this to find out what the market trend is for Illinois, for the whole state?
Well, I don't know.
Is it,
We could try.
is it just, okay, or is it just, yeah, that would be good to know.
Yeah, let's go look. So hang on a second.
Okay,
All right, so let's go back here. We'll go back to this research tab here at the top,
okay,
and we're going to look at residential market trends.
okay.
And I don't think we can put in a whole state.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
Okay.
Well, we could put in a county, like we could put Cook County.
Oh, yeah, the largest county, that'd be great. Yep.
We can say, well, what's happening there? So we can look at an individual county that way.
Okay.
And so that would be kind of handy. Or you can do a zip code or a city.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking for a larger space. So yeah, counties would be good for me too.
Good.
Good. Thank you for that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, so let's go over, we're going to go to the mobile app and just tell you a little bit about that. So we have a mobile app that you can put onto your cell phone for Apple or Android devices, and it's a free download. What's kind of nice about it is it uses the GPS on your phone to say, well, this is where you are and this is what's available around you. It's totally synchronized with the website. So if you do something on the phone, you'll see it on the website. If you do something on the website, you'll see it on the phone. Works out really nice. All right, let me turn my camera back off. Let's go over to the mobile app. And let me get my phone back up there. Deborah, do you see my phone? I saw you nod. That's good. All right. So there we have the mobile app is right in the center of the phone. I'm just going to click on that. And by the way, it's the same login that you use on the website. And so again, it's using the GPS on my phone to say, this is what's available within a half mile of you. So we can see there's 12 properties for sale, 2 for lease, 2 new properties on the market. We've got 1 open house, 8 recently closed properties, and 9 distressed properties. If I swipe to the left, here we can see the market information for this particular area. If I swipe once more to the left, it takes us to our search page where we can search by address, city, zip, MLS ID, tax ID. We can also search by owner name, which is kind of cool. If you know somebody maybe is owning a property, and you can do it at a county level, so you can really drill down and find that property that they might own. All right, so in the upper left, there's a little gear. I'm just going to click on that. And here you can make some adjustments. We're going to click on user settings. And this is where I can move that half mile radius to 1 mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, 5 miles, or all the way to the right is 10 miles. So if you're out in a more rural area, maybe you want to have a bigger search area. But we'll just take it down to 1 mile. We'll leave it there. And then to save our settings, just click over here in the kind of dark blue section on the right, and that will make that update. So now we can see
I have a
there's,
question.
yes, go ahead.
I'm wondering if that can be switched to like where it shows the scrolling Lake County.
Yep.
Can that be switched to a map view? So you're not
Yep.
limiting to 5 miles from
Sure.
whatever, right?
Yep. Yep, and we'll do that right now. How's that?
Okay,
I'm just going to click on 31 properties for sale, and that's going to take us to that map. And so here we can see the 1 mile circle. And if we wanted to, zoom out, we could do that. We just hit remove boundary, and that's going to give us everything that we can see on the map. So again, a very big area. Or we can, zoom way in if we wanted to. We would then see that area. Now, let's see. What did I want to show you? Let's go back. I just want to get back to
Ernie,
Yes.
how did you say you saved the changes when you made it? Did you say clicking somewhere in the dark?
Yeah. So let me just show you. So when I'm on the user settings, if I move this slider, you just want to click over here in this dark blue section, kind of to the right of that area.
Thank you. That's
And
great.
that saves it. I've never seen a save button, so that just seems to do it. All right, so back to our map. We're going to look at these properties. And again, we can, if we wanted to, we can click on a list and we can see a list of those properties. There's a sort button currently that's sorted most expensive to least expensive. If we wanted to swipe across a property, we can see the pictures of that property. We can click on the little 3 circles or 3 dots here. And now if I wanted to, I can create a report. I can save that property. I can add a note or a photo, or I can call the listing agent right from here. Don't have to go any further in to do that. Let's see, what else can I show you? Well, let's go ahead. We'll click on a property. And we can see we've got the list price. We've got, in this case, we have an AVM, so we didn't have enough activity in this area recently to do an RVM, but at least we give you some kind of estimated value. Again, 5 bedroom, 5 baths. We can see the MLS ID came on the market. Let's see. Ooh, a long time ago. And then we can see it sold back in 2017. Here's that Valuate tool. So if we wanted to, run the numbers for our buyer, we have that built right into the mobile app. We can also create a CMA right on the phone. So again, it's that easy CMA where we have those sliders, better or worse, if we wanted to make that adjustment. Let's see, we can also create the seller's net sheet. We can see there's an open house coming up tomorrow. We have the listing detail. Here's the property description. Here's the location detail. I'm just going to click on Enlarge Map. And then down here at the bottom, we have what we call our map actions. I'm going to click on that and show you some of the different things we have available. So the first one is a map view. So we're currently on the road view. If we want to see a satellite view, we can do that. Let's go back to, next one here is called traffic. And so we can look at traffic counts to see what the traffic count here on Central Avenue. Call it 1,600 cars per day, so that's not too bad. Let's see. Let's go back to our map view. And as far as traffic, we'll look at real-time traffic. So that's going to bring in, the Google traffic alerts there to see, well, here's a section that's in red, so the traffic is real heavy there or down here. So we can go ahead and turn those off. And let's turn off the real-time traffic. Another thing we can look at is we can drop in the parcel lines, the lot lines for the properties. We can see that on the map if we want to. We also have where we can show schools and we can show all properties. So again, a lot of great information right on the map. I'm just going to close that, go back to our property. Here we have directions. We have the owner's name and information. Here we have the public facts. We have the listing facts. There's also a your changes column. So again, if we wanted to make some adjustments, here's the median estimated home value for this property and also for the neighborhood, the listing history, prior sales transactions. We can look at the public recording of the prior sales as well as the listing recording. Here are the schools that service this property, the AARP livability index, room details, interior features, all kinds of great information right in the palm of your hand. Here's the mortgage record for the property, the tax info. So again, all kinds of great data. Now, if we wanted to, again, at the very bottom, we can call the listing agent. We can add a note to the property, or we can run a report. So let's click on report and let's hit add report. And here we can see again, all those great reports are available for us. Now there's one report that's available on the mobile app, but not on the website, and that's called the buyer tour. So if we wanted to put that together, we can go ahead and do that right here on the mobile app. So it's going to bring up now all of the active listings that are around this property. And the easiest one, I think, is if we go to the list view. And we can look at these properties, and if we see one that we think would be a good one to tour, we can just hit add. We can add another one. So again, very easy to, to add that to our buyer tour. So again, I won't go any further, but you get the idea that it's easy to put something like that together. We can also do a mini property report. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to hit run report, and it'll pop up and tell us when the report is ready. Let's see, we'll go back again. And I'm just going to show you the notes here at the very bottom. I think this is kind of a cool feature where you can add a note. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit add note. And then I'm going to put my finger in there like I'm going to type. And it brings up a little microphone down here on my keyboard. And I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to talk. And it's going to start typing what I'm saying. Bob loves the big garage with workshop. So I just added that. So as I'm touring a property, let's say with my buyers, and I kind of eavesdrop on what they're saying, I can just kind of whisper into my phone, Bob loves the big garage with workshop. And I can then add those notes to my report, because then it kind of brings that property to life for them. They're going to say, oh, that's the one with the big workshop. That's the one that has that funny smell in the basement. Whatever it might be, you can kind of personalize those reports for your buyers. All right.
Ernie,
so now, yes.
Before you leave this, I have a question. This
Yes.
report came from which prior slide? So I know if I'm on my app, how I get to this. How do I get to that?
Sure. So
in other words, what was preceding it? And if, let's say, for example, I have a relocation buyer who wants to, see 25 houses or 20 houses, and he really wants to just see where they are first.
Mm-hmm.
Could this be theoretically used to create a logical map tour where you could literally do a driving tour and have that information available along the way? Or is this kind of more just, to the one property thing? Yeah.
So we're on the property page. And then at the very bottom, there's a notes section. That's where I added the note. And then there's a report section where I can add the report. Now you're kind of talking about, let's say, the buyer tour.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really put it into, I would say, a logical map order. So, you can pick the properties, but then before you would print it, I would just move them around, looking at like a Google Maps kind of a thing and see what is the correct order we should go see these in. Or maybe you want to do it talking to the buyer and say, what property are you most interested in, and then go see that first,
How does that sort function on that page work? Would that be like, where you can, like looking at the map, go, okay, I'm moving this one to first and then the next one to next. And,
Yeah.
Is that what you could do on that sort page?
Yeah. So let's look. So I'm going to go to the list. Then I'm going to go to sort. And there's an address option up there. There's a proximity. So you could say, starting at this spot, pick the properties that are closest, so you could kind of do it that way.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
Sure. All right, so let's look at our report that we generated, the mini property report. I've got a view button there. And it's going to basically open my PDF reader on my phone and say, whoop, there's my report. And again, you can see it's got the nice branding on it. And I can just kind of scroll through. So here's where I added that sell your home with a realtor. And you can see this is a multi-page PDF that I added. I just wanted to show you that you can have one PDF that has, I don't know how many pages we're going through here, like 20 so far. We're up to 28. So again, you could add a lot of content if you wanted to the report. Might be your marketing plan or whatever like that. All right, so now we're back to the property. And again, I could just kind of scroll through and we can look at that report. I can also go back. And if I wanted to, I've got a share button. So if I wanted to share that, I could send it out via email or via text. And again, very easy to do. Let's see. Let's go back to our home page. Just want to show you the buttons down here at the bottom. There's a report button. Now you only see a couple of reports are highlighted. That's because we're looking at an area rather than an individual property. If we were on an individual property, all of these reports would be highlighted. But again, right now we aren't. Let's see. Next button down here is called Market Trends. So again, if we wanted to see what's happening in the market in this area, so Highland Park, we can see that. There's also that share button. So again, we could share this chart to social media right from our phone. And we can kind of scroll down. And if we wanted to, we can kind of zoom in on these different statistics. All kinds of great data. Let's see, going back to the home page here, we have recent. So again, this is any recent properties that we've looked at, whether it's on the phone or on the website, recent searches, recent reports. So this is really nice. So if you're going to be out with a buyer, you could run all of these reports ahead of time and they'd all be right here. So you can say, oh, yep, let's take a look at that property. And you'd have all those reports ready to go. The other thing we have down here is a saved button. So any saved properties that you have, you can look at right here on your phone. So they're very easy to find. And before our call, Deborah and I were talking about the mobile app. And I just wanted to show you, when I was in Florida, now where is it? I actually saw Shaquille O'Neal's house. And I did save it. It's probably, let's see. Well, I don't have a sort button, but anyway, you get the idea. You can save those properties, if you're out and about. It's kind of cool. All right, so that's the mobile app. Now there's a chat here. Is this being recorded? And yes, Deborah did say she was going to record it and post it on the website for the association. So, all right, so that's the mobile app. Any questions on that?
Ernie, this is Shanice Jones again.
Yes.
I wanted to know, I heard you say that Deborah was going to post it on the association website, but will it be any of this? Can this webinar be viewed again on RPR, or is that the only place?
Just on the association website. So Deborah's recording this for today. But we do have, if you go to the RPR website, in fact, let me just show you. So we just come back here and let me just go back a couple of pages. Whoops. So if you come up here and you click on Learn, Help. Come up here and go to the training area. You've got a couple of different options. So you've got printable guides. If you wanted to just have, tutorial kind of things that way, you can look at short videos that you can look at. And then the last one is webinars. So here's all of our different webinars. And we have one that's strictly on the mobile app. We have one that's strictly on CMAs. So again, you can come here and do that. Now here's the CMA tool. Now you can see it's offered live June 14th. But if I click on it, you can see I can watch now. So
Okay,
you
okay,
can always watch any of these webinars, I'll say on demand.
okay, okay.
So you can do that.
Okay, thank you for that information. Thank you.
Sure.
And if you're going to load this mobile app, what am I looking for in the App Store? Am I looking for RPM mobile, or am I looking RPR mobile?
RPR mobile is what you're looking for.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any other questions? All right, well, I think we are all set. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Deborah, thank you so much. This was awesome. And I really appreciate everybody asking questions. It's just wonderful to be engaged with you guys.
And Ernie, I want to thank you so much. I learned so much just watching you. You know, I don't sell real estate. I work at the association, so I don't do this. But now I kind of want to.
I know, it's fun.
I kind of want to, because boy, this is gin dandy. So Ernie, thank you so much. I appreciate that you spent the time with us.